It's been a few months since they finished with season 1 of the Nancy Drew TV show. I thought I would make this video just to talk about the season in general. What do I think about the series? I think it's an okay series. It's doing its own thing, and I was expecting it to be more like the Nancy Drew books or the Nancy Drew video games. I really would have liked it if it was based on the books or the video games, but it's doing its own thing. It's mostly like this ghost show with a little bit of mystery, and if that's your thing, then more power to you. You can love it and watch it. When it first came out, I think it's better than when it first came out. I think this show finally hit a groove very close to the end of the season where we had 3 or 4 episodes in a row, which were fantastic. Big revelations, big mystery. It was great. And then we had like 3 more episodes, and I wasn't so sure about those last 3 episodes. It felt like they should have ended season 1 at the end of the big revelation about Nancy, and I'm not going to give any spoilers about that, but it was huge and it was great, and that's where they should have ended season 1, because the next 3 episodes were kind of like, what do we do now? Okay, there's another ghost monster attacking our heroes. Oh no. Well, it's much better at the end than it was at the beginning. So at the beginning, everyone complained that this show felt like a Riverdale clone, and we have multiple Riverdale spin-off series. So, it wasn't good to see another show trying to be Riverdale. And I agree, it felt a lot like Riverdale. It had the same basic premise, which is we're taking this really wholesome series from the 1930s, the 1940s, and we're just gonna throw in a bunch of sex, murder, and violence, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shock everybody. So, Nancy Drew has sex all the time! Arrgh! And I feel like the show got better once it got that out of its system. So once it stopped focusing so much on the sex, the murder, and the violence, that's when the series got better. And that happened about a third of the way through the series. And, there are several things that happened at that point where it got better. They changed their focus on several characters. So, like, Nancy's boyfriend, Nick, instead of just being the hot guy that Nancy has sex with, he becomes the character in his own right. So he becomes an interesting character in his own right. He solves this really cool mystery, with literary allusions with Nancy. That was actually a great episode. So it was a standalone mystery. And I liked all the episodes which were just standalone mysteries. Those were my favorite episodes. It's just a stylistic thing for me. I'd rather just watch a standalone episode so I could just watch a 60-minute show and be done with it, as opposed to the format of the series, which is, it's designed for binge watching. So you're meant to watch the whole thing at once. Whereas I'm watching one episode every week. It feels a lot slower if you're watching all the episodes separately, whereas binge watching, definitely the way to go for this series. But other characters felt like they got changed a third of the way through. Ace's character totally got changed. So at the start of the series, he was just a joke about drugs. He was the stoner, he was the slacker, and he was just there so we could tell jokes like, ha ha ha, he's smoking pot. But like Nick, he sort of stepped out of the shadows and became a legitimate character, and they added some depth to him, and that was great. So I really liked it when Ace became a more important, stronger character. George was a good character too. I really liked George. I don't feel like she had a moment where she really stepped up. She brought her A game from the start, and she was consistently good throughout the entire series. So I really like George. She's probably my favorite character. Her or Nick would be my favorite character. I think they're both really great. Bess is probably my least favorite character out of the group, because her storyline doesn't really fit. So her storyline is that she wants to join up with the Marvin family. She thinks she might be related to them. And it doesn't quite work because we know the Marvin family, and they're terrible people. They're really terrible. We don't want to see Bess integrate herself with the Marvins. We want her to fail in her attempt to become one of the Marvins, because only 2 of them are good. There's Owen and then there's the grandma. And everybody else is terrible, and we want Bess to stay as far away from them as possible. So, I felt like I was rooting against Bess for most of the series. I felt like I was rooting for her to fail. So that's why I feel like it didn't work. I also feel like her subplot with her girlfriend Lisbeth, I didn't really feel that. It didn't. I don't know. It didn't work for me. So that's why Bess is my least favorite character. One of the changes they did about a third of the way through is Nancy's father. So he kind of disappeared from the storyline about a third of the way through. I felt like he was going to be more involved with the story, but then he just sort of dropped. He came back towards the end, but he's in a really sad, bad place at the end of the series. It doesn't look like there's any reason for them to go back to Mr. Drew. I feel sad about that because I really liked the actor playing him. He did a great job. Maybe it's because I'm a father, and I just love the father-daughter relationship. Nancy Drew is okay. I really love the actress playing Nancy. She's fantastic. My main problem is that I like her when she's being awesome and solving mysteries and just being cool and saying sassy things. Those are the best moments. But like a third of the time, she's being scared by ghosts, and I did not like that. So when she's just kind of being the scared person who's being freaked out by ghosts all the time, I didn't like that as much. I much preferred Nancy being awesome and cool. So, let me see. Other things that happened like a third of the way through the series was the focus on the ghost stuff. That's when it really hit home to me that this was a ghost series and the ghost is real. Because normally in the Nancy Drew books, there's no such thing as ghosts. Ghosts don't exist. The ghosts aren't real. And so I thought, oh, there's going to be a logical, rational explanation for everything at the end of the day. But about a third of the way through, they really hammered it home that, no, this ghost is real. This ghost is real. Ghosts are real. Deal with it. And, it was hard for me to sort of just mentally accept, oh, this is Nancy Drew and ghosts are real. And that was sort of followed by a stint of episodes where Nancy just sort of bounced from ghost story to ghost story to ghost story, as opposed to doing the investigation. So I didn't quite like that. I didn't like that segment as much. And it felt like the series was sort of juggling a couple of balls in the air with the Hudsons and the Marvins, and I feel like the time wasn't spread apart well enough, so we didn't really get enough of a chance to get a sense of the Hudsons or the Marvins. So I did check the Wikipedia page. Wikipedia says that the guy playing Owen Marvin was officially hired about a day or two before episode 4 aired, and I don't know about that, because I thought he was great. I should say, I think he's a great guy. I think he was a great character, a good addition to the cast. I'm not so sure about the timing. I wish he had been there from the very beginning, as opposed to being added about a third of the way through. So like I said, it feels like the series went through a big change a third of the way through. It feels like they brought in Owen maybe to replace Nancy's father, or the role that the victim's sister would have played, because she was built up in the first few episodes, and then she just totally disappeared for like 6 or 8 episodes, and comes back towards the end to leave the series forever. So I feel like if the Owen, the love triangle with Owen, Nancy, and Nick, I feel like if that had been like fully planned out from the very beginning, it would have worked better. I think it worked fine. I was totally okay with Nancy with Owen. I know a lot of people on the internet hated it and they were mean to the actor about it. Guys, don't do that. Don't harass an actor just because they're playing a character you don't like. That's not cool, okay? That's wrong. Sorry, had to say that. But with the love triangle, I really liked Nancy with Owen. I really liked Nancy with Nick. I didn't really like Owen and Nick's interactions with each other. I really liked that angle of the love triangle. When I watched soap operas, that's what I really loved. I really loved seeing the two guys kind of getting into a fight with each other. But I didn't really like Nick and Owen's interactions with that. So I feel like that would be the only way to improve the love triangle. Other than that, I thought it was a good love triangle. I thought it was a decent storyline. I mean, compared to the first third of the series, where, like I said, it was mostly, sex and violence, and they were really trying to sex things up, where I thought it was more tastefully and better done, all the love drama towards the end of the series, where Nick sort of has a falling out with Nancy, and then he starts getting close with George, and they had their cute moments, too. I really like that. So, I think that's all I have to say about the... Oh, wait, no. So, towards the start of the series, they had that episode with George, where it was foretold that George would die, and she was kicking over a bucket which was filled with blood, which showed that George was gonna die. And I don't think they came back to that. Obviously, she's alive at the end of the series. So, I kind of wish they had followed up on that, but at the same time, I'm glad they didn't because George is my favorite character, so I don't want to see her die. So, those are my thoughts on the series. It feels like, it started off trying to be too hard. So those are my thoughts on the series. It felt like when it started off, it was trying way too hard to be like Riverdale. And about a third of the way through, it started getting better, but it also sort of hit a little slog with the ghost stuff and maybe not balancing out the various characters as well as they could have. And then it got really, really good when they started wrapping up the mystery, and we had that amazing 3 or 4 episodes, which were just phenomenal. And then we had like 3 episodes towards the end, which felt like a bit of an add-on. Because they were obviously going to have like 4 or 5 more episodes after that, and we only saw the first 3 episodes of the arc, it feels like it's incomplete. It feels like it wasn't really going anywhere, and that they don't really have any idea of what's happening next. Well, that's because we didn't see the last 4 episodes that they planned to do. So it was sort of a bad note to end on, because, it ended the series on this random episode instead of nicely wrapping up everything in a bow, like that really big chunk of episodes did. So I don't know what they're going to do for season number 2. Are they going to continue the story, or are they just going to wipe the slate clean and try something else? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully season 2 will not be canceled due to the coronavirus. That's what I'm hoping. It sounds like a lot of TV is being canceled due to the coronavirus, and that's just sad. But hopefully season 2 will not be canceled. Oh, and I forgot to say I like Chief McGinnis too. I thought Chief McGinnis was cool. He was good, and I was kind of sad to see his character go. I really liked his relationship with Ace. That was interesting.